She handed me an ultimatum over breakfast like it was nothing. Either accept the way things are, she said, or go find yourself a lawyer, mi pareja, while she was out in Scottsdale posting sunrise photos and writing captions about spiritual awakening. I did exactly what she suggested. What happened when she walked back through that front door would shatter every assumption she had ever made about me. Some people mistake patience for weakness. My name is Nathan Calloway. I am 47 years old, a regional sales director at a medical device company for the past 13 years. Steady work, good income, the kind of career that requires more diplomacy than most people realize. I met Vivian at a corporate networking event about a decade ago. She was striking, ambitious, working her way up the ladder in beauty and lifestyle marketing. She had a son from a previous relationship, a boy named Tyler, who was 5 at the time. The father was out of the picture, she said. A complicated situation that just did not work out. I never thought to push for more details on that. Tyler is 16 now. I have been the only consistent father figure he has ever known. We watch football on Sunday afternoons. I helped him build his first gaming computer from scratch. He calls me Nate instead of Dad, but there is something real between us. At least I believed there was. Things between Vivian and me had been quietly unraveling for about 2 years before any of this came to a head. The signs were subtle at first. She started talking a lot about needing room to grow, about how marriage should not mean losing your individual identity. It was the language of self-help podcasts and wellness influencers, the kind of vocabulary that sounds reasonable until you realize it is being used to create distance instead of closeness. Then came the trips, girls' weekends that expanded into week-long excursions, wellness retreats where phones were supposedly off-limits, yet her social media stayed perfectly curated and consistently updated. I told myself there were explanations. I was good at that. On a Thursday morning about 4 months ago, she dropped everything on the table while I was halfway through my second cup of coffee. She did not even look up when she started talking. She was going to Scottsdale for 10 days, alone. She needed to reset. I set my mug down carefully. Scottsdale. That is pretty sudden. She stirred her tea in slow, deliberate circles. She had been saying for months that she needed space, she explained. I just had not been listening. Tyler was at the counter looking at his phone, pretending not to hear us. He had gotten very skilled at that over the years. I kept my voice even. I said I had been listening. I was just surprised by the timing. We had plans with the Hendersons that coming weekend. She finally looked at me. There was something behind her eyes I had not allowed myself to name before, something cold and calculated. Cancel it, she said, or go without me. And if you cannot handle me taking a few days for myself, maybe we need to have a much bigger conversation than this. The kitchen went still. Even Tyler's scrolling slowed. What kind of conversation? I asked. Vivian stood, poured her unfinished tea into the sink, and turned to face me with her arms crossed. The morning light caught the new highlights in her hair. She had paid a significant amount for color that looked almost identical to her natural shade. The kind of thing that makes you wonder what else you are not seeing clearly. The kind, she said, her voice smooth and practiced, where you either support me living my life fully, or we discuss filing papers. Your move, Nathan. Accept it or divorce me. She did not wait for an answer. She grabbed her bag, kissed the air near Tyler's head, and walked out the door. I heard her car pull out of the driveway and disappear down the street. Tyler looked up from his phone. His expression was deliberately blank, but I caught something underneath it. Recognition, maybe even a kind of weary sympathy. You okay? He asked. I nodded, even though I was not entirely sure. Yeah, you? He shrugged and turned back to his screen. He said he was always okay, but none of us were. And as I sat there in that quiet kitchen with her ultimatum hanging in the air between us, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not grief, just a hard, clean clarity. She had given me a choice. For the first time in years, I was ready to make one she had not anticipated. The house felt different with Vivian gone. Not emptier, Cleaner, actually. Like fog lifting from glass you had been trying to see through for a very long time. That afternoon, I sat at my desk with the door closed and pulled up our shared financial accounts on my laptop. Numbers do not perform for you. They do not smile and tell you everything is fine. I had been looking at these accounts for years without really seeing them. 3 transfers to accounts I did not recognize. $1,200 here, $800 there, a large withdrawal of $3,000 from 2 months prior, all tagged in her meticulous spreadsheet as personal expenses. Vivian was organized in a way that had always impressed me. Now I was starting to understand that her organizational skills served a different purpose than I thought. I opened a new browser window and searched for family law attorneys in the area. One name kept appearing at the top of the results. Margaret Doyle, a senior partner at Doyle & Associates, specializing in high-asset divorces and complex financial cases. Her professional photo showed a woman in her mid-50s with close-cropped silver hair and an expression that made clear she had heard every version of every story and had no patience for any of them. I called before I could talk myself out of it. The receptionist was warm and professional. I said I needed to schedule a consultation regarding a divorce. She found an opening the following morning at 9. I confirmed it, hung up, and stared at the phone for a moment like it belonged to a stranger who knew what he was doing. Tyler knocked on the office door. He had changed into his practice gear for his school baseball team, a glove tucked under his arm. He leaned against the doorframe. "You okay?" he asked again. "Just handling some things," I told him. He studied me for a second, then said something I was not ready for. "She does this, Nate. The trips, the attitude, it is not new. I have been watching it my whole life." I really looked at him then. He had grown significantly in the past year. He was nearly my height now, with an adult's ability to observe things clearly. "What do you mean?" I asked. He shifted uncomfortably. "Before you were around, when I was really small, she would disappear for stretches. My grandmother would take care of me. Mom would come back different. She always said she needed space to figure herself out. Same words, different year." My throat tightened. "Why did you never say anything?" He thought about it. Would it have changed anything? "You loved her." Loved, he said. Past tense. From a 16-year-old who had been watching this pattern his entire childhood. "I am meeting with a lawyer tomorrow morning," I said. He deserved to know. His expression did not change. "Good," he said. "You deserve better than this. We both do." He left for practice. I sat there for a long time thinking about those last 3 words. We both do. This kid who was not mine by blood was standing in my corner without hesitation. Meanwhile, the woman I had married was somewhere out there crafting an Instagram post about self-discovery while our marriage quietly collapsed. I spent the rest of the evening downloading bank records, pulling mortgage documents, digging through insurance files. If Vivian wanted a fight, she was going to find out that I spent 13 years closing complex deals in a high-pressure industry. I knew how to build a case. My phone buzzed late that evening. A text from Vivian. "Arrived safe. This place is everything. Do not wait up. Do not wait up." Like she was grabbing drinks with colleagues, not potentially dismantling 11 years of shared life. I did not respond. I added the screenshot to a new folder on my desktop and labeled it Documentation. Tomorrow, I would meet Margaret Doyle. Tonight, I would keep building. Margaret Doyle's office was on the 17th floor of a steel and glass building in the financial district. The hallway leading to her suite was lined with framed credentials and recognitions. The woman had assembled an impressive collection of institutional validation. She stood when I entered, extending a handshake that was brief and firm. She gestured toward the chair across from her desk and did not offer pleasantries. Just business. I liked it immediately. "Tell me why you are here," she said, opening a leather portfolio. I laid everything out the way I would present a quarterly sales report. The ultimatum, the trips, the transfers to unknown accounts, Tyler's account of her recurring pattern. No editorializing, just the sequence of events and their implications. Margaret took notes without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back and asked her first question. "Do you want to save this marriage?" "No." The word came before I had even consciously decided it. No hesitation, no second thought. Good, she replied. That simplifies things considerably. Second question. What is your primary goal here? Clean exit or strategic positioning? I want what is fair, I said, but I also want to ensure she does not walk away with anything she has concealed or taken without my knowledge. Her eyebrow lifted slightly. Taken is a strong word. Can you prove it? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots, the transfers, the unrecognized accounts, the spreadsheet labels that did not match any actual purchases I could identify. She studied each one. Her expression stayed neutral, but her pen moved faster. This is a solid foundation, she said. Let us talk about the full picture of your assets. We walked through everything. The house, joint ownership, purchased 8 years ago, currently valued at around $420,000 with a mortgage of $215,000. My retirement accounts, funded consistently over a long career. Her accounts noticeably less robust over the past 2 years despite a full salary. The cabin in the mountains I had inherited from my father before we were married, titled solely in my name. When I mentioned Tyler, Margaret paused. You have been raising him for how long? 11 years? Since he was 5. And you want to maintain that relationship regardless of how the divorce goes? Absolutely, without hesitation. She nodded slowly. That complicates the legal picture, but it is not unworkable. Has adoption ever been formally discussed? She always said paperwork was not necessary, that we were family regardless. Margaret looked at me directly. What that actually means is she kept her options flexible. Nathan, I will be honest with you. Your wife appears to have been planning an exit strategy for some time. The transfers, the deliberate ambiguity around Tyler's legal status, the solo trips. These are not impulsive behaviors. Someone has been thinking several moves ahead. The good news is that you are not behind. You are catching up right now. What is the worst case? I asked. She has documentation on you too. People in her position often do. Recording conversations, saving messages, constructing a narrative that makes them the wronged party. If she works in marketing, she understands how to shape perception. We need to move faster than her timeline. I scheduled everything with Margaret that morning, filed before Vivian returned from Scottsdale. The documents would be waiting. What happened when she came through that door, I could not have fully prepared for, but I was ready. Remember that in the description and in the pinned comment you have access to all our supplements, from fitness to health, in every sense. Take care of your body the same way you take care of your future. 2 days after my meeting with Margaret, an encrypted email arrived from a forensic financial analyst her firm had engaged. The report was 41 pages. I poured a glass of water, locked the office door, and started reading. By page 4, I had to set the glass down. Vivian had a private savings account at a credit union across town that I had never known existed. She had opened it 4 years ago. The balance reflected deposits totaling just over $50,000, drawn from our joint account in small, regular increments over those 4 years, $300 one month, $500 the next, labeled in her records as household maintenance or personal development. She had been building a financial runway for years while I was at work. It got worse. 2 credit cards had been opened in my name without my knowledge. Combined balance just under $25,000. Charges at luxury retailers, upscale restaurants, spa services at places I had never visited. The signature on the applications was not mine. Page 14 made my hands unsteady. The life insurance policy I had carried for years, where Vivian and I were each other's beneficiaries, had been updated 9 months ago. She had removed my name as beneficiary and replaced it with someone named Derek Ashworth, $500,000 directed to a man I had never heard of. I read that section 3 times. My phone rang. Margaret. She asked if I had reviewed the report. Yes, I said. Then you understand what we are dealing with. This is not simply marital breakdown, Nathan. This is fraud, potentially criminal fraud. Who is Derek Ashworth? We are still researching him, she said. But preliminary findings indicate he is a former colleague of your wife's from a brand partnership agency she worked with 3 years ago. They have been in contact on professional networks since then. There are photographs of them together at industry events. I sat with that for a moment. She changed my life insurance to name someone she knew from a professional event. He left that agency approximately 10 months ago, Margaret continued. Around the same time, your wife began taking her solo trips more frequently. What do I do right now? Nothing visible. We are filing a police report on the credit card fraud today. That is a criminal matter separate from the divorce. The insurance change is grounds for immediate action and will be included in the petition. I am also requesting an emergency motion to freeze all joint accounts. She is back in 3 days, I said. Then she comes home to frozen accounts and legal papers waiting on the table, Margaret said. Let that be the opening statement. I ended the call and sat in the silence for a while. $50,000 skimmed, $25,000 in fraudulent debt. A life insurance policy redirected to her apparent lover in the event something happened to me. Tyler knocked on the door. I minimized the screen before opening it. He handed me his phone. Mom just posted, he said quietly. Vivian's latest photo showed her standing on a red rock formation at golden hour, arms spread wide, hair catching the breeze. The caption read, "Finally free to breathe. Sometimes you have to step away from everything to remember who you actually are." The comments were a wall of heart emojis and affirmation. You deserve this. Self-care queen, mi pareja, proud of you. None of them knew what she was actually stepping away from, or what she had been building in secret while she posed for those photos. You okay? Tyler asked. Better than I have been in a long time, I said honestly. He studied my face, then nodded once. Good. After he went back to his room, I returned to the report and read every remaining page. Every line was another piece of evidence that Vivian had deeply miscalculated who she was dealing with. Vivian's car rolled into the driveway on a Friday evening, right on the schedule she had texted me. I heard the engine cut, then the familiar rhythm of her walking up to the front door. She let herself in with her key the way someone does when they have not a single doubt about the welcome waiting for them. I am back, she called out, her voice warm and bright. You would not believe the energy in that place. I feel genuinely new. I was seated at the dining room table, the same table where she had issued her ultimatum. In front of me sat a plain manila folder. Vivian walked in, pulling her suitcase, glowing from 10 days of desert sun. She looked beautiful, confident, like someone who had already won a game they believed was still in progress. She smiled when she saw me. Miss me? She asked, dropping her designer bag on the counter. Not particularly, I replied. The smile flickered, then steadied itself. Honest answer, she said. Good. Space creates clarity, Nathan. That is the whole point. She moved to the refrigerator, pulled out sparkling water, took a slow sip. Total performance. Then she turned back to face me. Did you have time to think while I was gone about what I said? I did, I said, and I slid the folder across the table toward her. Your divorce papers are there. They just need your signature. The water bottle stopped midway to her lips. Her eyes moved from the folder to my face and back, searching for the sign that this was a tactic, a negotiation move, something she could reframe. There was no reframe available. You are joking, she said. Open the folder. Her hand was not entirely steady as she reached for it. She flipped it open and scanned the first page. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Both names. The date. Official seal. Her mouth opened, then closed. This is completely disproportionate, she said, her voice climbing. You cannot just. I did not actually mean it when I said that. I was frustrated. I was venting. Then you should have been more careful with your words, I said. She turned pages faster now. Asset disclosures, financial discovery requests. The mountain cabin listed as my separate property. Her face went several shades lighter when she reached the section addressing the irregular financial transfers. You had someone investigating me, she said, her voice shifting into something harder. That is a violation of privacy. Those are joint accounts, I said. I have full legal right to review them, and it turns out there was quite a lot to review. Her jaw tightened. She slammed the folder shut. Think about what you are doing to Tyler. He needs both of us. I have thought about Tyler extensively, I said. He is going to be fine. He is stronger than you give him credit for. Something shifted in her expression then. The curated confidence started breaking up at the edges. You are going to throw away everything we built over one conversation. This is not about one conversation, I said. This is about a pattern, about accounts I did not know existed, about credit cards opened in my name, about a life insurance policy that lists Derek Ashworth as the beneficiary. The color left her face completely. Yeah, I said. I know about Derek. I know about quite a few things now. Her mouth opened and nothing came out. For the first time in all the years I had known her, Vivian had no scripted response, no spin, no redirect. I will be staying in the guest suite, I said, standing. You can remain here tonight, but I would recommend making other arrangements soon. The joint accounts have been frozen by court order. You will need to rely on your personal funds while the proceedings are active. You froze the accounts, she said softly. Our accounts, I said. Yes. Her expression collapsed into something raw and furious. You self-righteous, manipulative. Sign the papers, Vivian. Make this straightforward for both of us. I walked out of the dining room and left her standing there with the folder and the wreckage of her miscalculation. Through the window I could see Tyler in the backyard, kicking a soccer ball against the fence. He glanced toward the house once, then kept playing, like he had already prepared himself for exactly this outcome. Vivian did not follow me. She stood alone in the kitchen with the realization that what she thought was a leverage play had been a starting pistol. She was gone by morning. 2 days later, Margaret called. She has retained counsel, she told me, an aggressive firm. They are filing delay motions and counter requests already. Expect this to move slowly. Expected, I said. What else? Her attorney has requested a preliminary meeting. They want to explore settlement before this reaches open court. Why the sudden interest in settlement? Because they have seen our evidence package. The forensic report, the insurance change, the credit fraud. A judge sees that and it does not paint a favorable picture of their client. They want this quiet. What are they offering? A clean split with no admissions. She walks away. You walk away. Nobody pursues criminal charges. And if I say no, then everything becomes public court record. Her employer finds out. Her family finds out. Derek Ashworth's family finds out. I should mention he is married with 2 children. I thought about the collateral damage. Then I thought about $50,000 quietly drained from our shared accounts across 4 years. About my name forged on credit applications. About a $500,000 insurance policy redirected without my knowledge. Let it be public, I said. Let all of it come out. Margaret paused. You are certain? I am certain. Good, she said, and I heard something like approval in her voice. Then we proceed. That evening Tyler came home and found me making dinner. He dropped his bag, grabbed a drink and leaned against the counter. Mom called me, he said, during lunch today. I looked up. She was crying, he said. Said you were trying to ruin her life, that you were being vindictive and unreasonable. He paused. I told her she was the one who was not honest, that you did not do anything wrong. The maturity in his voice was something I was still getting used to. You did not have to do that, I said. Yeah, I did, he said. Someone has to tell her the truth because she keeps waiting for someone who will not. Remember that in the description and in the pinned comment you can find all our supplements covering everything from fitness performance to overall health and well-being. Your body deserves the same level of attention you give to the rest of your life. A week after that conversation, Margaret called with news that landed like a physical weight. The forensic analyst found something additional, she said, something significant. What is it? Your wife has been operating a subscription content platform, adult content. The account has been active for approximately 20 months and has accumulated over 2,200 paying subscribers at $15 per month. Payments have been routed to the private account we already identified. I sat down. You are certain of this? Fully verified. We have traced the platform payments directly to her hidden account. She has generated approximately $45,000 from it. And Nathan, some of the content was filmed in your home, in your bedroom, while you were at work. The silence that followed was long and heavy. There is more, Margaret continued. Derek Ashworth appears in some of the footage. We are still completing the full analysis, but his presence is confirmed in multiple videos. This gives us additional grounds: unauthorized use of shared marital property, invasion of privacy, potentially more. What do we do with it? We use it, she said. Her attorney came to us looking for a quiet exit. Now we have something that makes their position essentially indefensible. She either accepts our terms or all of this becomes part of the public court record and goes before a judge. I sat in the guest suite that evening staring at nothing. Vivian had been selling content filmed in our home, our bedroom, while I came home each evening and asked her about her day. The betrayal had moved from personal to something that had a commercial dimension. She had monetized it. Tyler knocked softly. "You look rough," he said. "Just working through something." He sat down across from me. "Nate, whatever it is, you did not earn it. You know that, right?" "I am getting there," I said. He nodded. "Good, because she made choices, not you." After he left, I called Margaret. "Schedule the meeting," I said. "Let us end this." The mediation room had all the warmth of a corporate audit. Glass walls, neutral furniture, 2 tables facing each other. Vivian sat across from me with her attorney, a sharp-dressed woman named Constance, who carried herself like she charged significant money to be in a room. Margaret sat beside me with a folder considerably thicker than the one on the opposing table. Constance opened with standard mediation language about finding reasonable resolutions for both parties. Margaret did not let her finish the sentence. "We can skip the preamble. Your client committed identity theft, financial fraud, and has operated an adult content platform using marital property without her spouse's knowledge or consent. We have documentation covering all 3 categories." Constance's composure flickered. Vivian went pale. "Those are serious allegations," Constance said carefully. "Do you have substantiation?" Margaret slid a folder across the table. Bank records tracing the platform revenue, account documentation, redacted video stills, with originals available if needed. Confirmation that Derek Ashworth, who is married with children, appears in the content. His wife, as of this morning, has been notified. Vivian's hand started shaking visibly. "You cannot use that," she said. "That is private." "It ceased to be private when you filmed it in a jointly owned home without consent and sold access to it commercially," Margaret replied without a change in tone. Constance reviewed the contents of the folder. Her professional composure slipped by several degrees. She looked at Vivian with something that was not quite concealed frustration. "Is this accurate?" Vivian's voice had shrunk. "She said she needed money, that I controlled everything, and she had no independence." "You had full access to our accounts," I said, speaking for the first time. "You used that access to route funds into an account I did not know existed over 4 years. You do not understand the pressure I was under." "I understand it clearly," I said. "You built a separate life, funded it systematically, and now you are in a room trying to explain it. I have no interest in your explanation." Constance leaned toward Vivian and spoke quietly. Vivian looked cornered, then nodded. Constance turned back to Margaret. "We are prepared to hear terms." "My client retains the primary residence, the mountain cabin as separate property, and his retirement accounts in full," Margaret said. "Your client retains her personal accounts, including the concealed ones, and assumes full responsibility for the fraudulent credit card balances. No alimony, clean division. And your client signs a non-disclosure agreement covering all matters related to this marriage and its dissolution." "She will have nothing left after the credit card debt," Constance said. "She will have the $45,000 from her content platform, plus whatever she has accumulated privately," Margaret replied. "That is not nothing. It is the result of her own choices." Vivian looked at me across the table. "Nathan, please. I made mistakes, real ones. But we had something real too. I know we did. I looked back at her, really looked. The person I had married 11 years ago was either gone or had never been quite who I thought. I could not tell anymore, and I had stopped trying to figure it out. Sign the agreement, I said quietly. It is the better outcome. Her shoulders fell. What is the other outcome? Trial, Margaret said. Everything becomes part of the public record. Your employer receives documentation. Your family receives copies. Derek Ashworth's wife receives the full file. That is the alternative. Vivian looked at Constance, who gave a small, grave nod. Fine, Vivian said. Her voice was barely audible. I will sign. The documents were prepared within the hour. Her signature was small and uneven. When it was done, she stood without making eye contact and walked out of the room with Constance. Margaret gathered her materials methodically. That moved faster than I expected, she said. She knew the position was not defensible. You handled this with real steadiness, Nathan. A lot of people would have buckled somewhere in this process. I sat there after she left, looking at the signed documents. The marriage was finished. The fraud, the deception, all of it concluded. My phone buzzed. Tyler, how did it go? Done, I texted back. Pizza tonight, your choice. His response came in 3 seconds. Hawaiian, non-negotiable. I actually smiled at that. Outside the conference room, Vivian stood beside a planter in the lobby, speaking quietly into her phone. I did not stop. I did not look back. I walked to the elevator and went home. Tyler was waiting. And for the first time in months, I could breathe all the way in. Remember that in the description and in the pinned comment you can find all our supplements, from fitness to overall health in every dimension. Real strength starts with taking care of yourself from the inside. The divorce was finalized on a cold morning in early December, 4 months after Vivian had left for Scottsdale. The judge reviewed the settlement agreement, confirmed both parties understood the terms, and signed the decree in under 25 minutes. 11 years of marriage concluded in a room that smelled like recycled air and old carpet. Vivian attended via video conference. Her attorney confirmed her consent. I sat beside Margaret in the courtroom in the charcoal suit I wore to professional depositions, and I felt nothing but a clean, settling relief. That is the official conclusion, Margaret said in the hallway afterward, shaking my hand. The house transfers fully to your name within 30 days. All accounts are permanently separated. She is legally bound by the non-disclosure agreement. And Tyler? She retains legal custody, but he is 16. If he chooses to stay with you and she does not contest it, courts consider a teenager's expressed preference with real weight. Keep everything documented. I drove home and found Tyler shooting hoops in the driveway. He jogged over when he saw my car. Mi pareja? He said. Officially finished, I told him. He nodded once, looking at me directly. Good. You look like yourself again. I feel like myself again. How about that? He bounced the ball once. Mom called me yesterday. She is moving to Denver. Some marketing position with a startup. Leaves in a few weeks. She asked if I wanted to come with her. My chest went tight. What did you say? I said no, Tyler replied, without any hesitation. I am staying here. If that is still okay, I pulled him into a brief, firm hug. More than okay, I said. Legally, it was complicated. Practically, it was the clearest thing in my life. 3 weeks later, Derek Ashworth's wife filed for divorce. The court records became accessible, and within days his involvement in what had been documented circulated through their professional network. He quietly resigned from his position at the brand agency where he had relocated. Vivian's employer, a regional lifestyle marketing firm, terminated her contract citing professional conduct standards. Her Instagram account, which had been full of sunset photography and inspirational language, went silent within a week. Then it was deleted entirely. I did not feel satisfaction exactly, more like a neutral recognition that actions carry weight, and eventually that weight finds its way back. Margaret called with a final update. The credit card companies have pursued criminal charges related to the identity theft, she told me. She is likely looking at probation and restitution. It could take her several years to pay it back. Tyler and I settled into a new structure. Dinners at the kitchen table, homework spread across the counter, weekend drives up to the mountain cabin where we fished and did not talk about Vivian unless he brought her up first, which he occasionally did, and we talked about it honestly when he did. One Saturday morning while we were clearing out the garage, Tyler found a box of old photographs. Wedding pictures, holidays, portraits from the life that had been constructed around something that turned out to be only partially real. "What do you want to do with these?" he asked. "Keep whatever you want," I said. "Otherwise they can go." He paged through a few, then closed the box. "I would rather keep the stuff that was actually real," he said. "Like when you stayed up until 2 in the morning helping me debug my computer. Or every single one of my games that you showed up for. That is what I want to remember." We put the box in the donation pile and kept working. That night my phone showed a message from an unknown number that turned out to be Vivian. Just 2 lines. "I am sorry for everything that happened. I mean that." I looked at it for a while, then I deleted it without responding. Some apologies arrive after the damage has already settled permanently into the shape of things. Responding would not change the shape. Tyler knocked on the office door. "You good?" "Yeah," I said. "I am good, and I meant it." 8 months after the divorce was finalized, I sold the house. Too many rooms that held the wrong kind of memory. Tyler and I moved into a smaller place closer to his school, a 3-bedroom with a large backyard and no prior history. The first night there, Tyler stood in the middle of his new room surrounded by boxes and said it felt like starting from the actual beginning. "Clean slate, no residue. That is exactly the idea," I said. My company offered me a promotion around that same time. Vice President of Sales for the entire Northeastern region. More responsibility, better compensation, and a clear signal that my professional track had not been damaged by any of the personal disruption. Tyler made the varsity baseball team, brought his grades up steadily, and started talking seriously about college programs he wanted to explore. Some weekends Vivian would call, and they would talk for a few minutes, strained and short, before he found a reason to end the conversation. He reported that she was doing better in Denver. New job, new apartment, she had mentioned wanting to visit. He came to me one evening while I was making dinner. "She wants to come for the holidays," he said. "Says she is in a better place. What do you think?" He was chopping vegetables with a focused precision I had taught him over years of cooking together. "I think that is your call to make," I said. "I am not going to hold it against you either way." "Did you ever think you would end up better off?" he asked. The question stopped me for a second. "I did not let myself think that way for a long time," I said. "But honestly, yes, we both are." He nodded and went back to the vegetables. A Saturday in early autumn, I took Tyler on a college visit trip through the mountains. We drove through forests that had turned gold and orange and amber, talking about what he wanted to study, what kind of life he was building toward. Engineering, maybe, he said, or business, something practical, something he could actually use. We stopped at a diner for lunch, the kind of place with checkered floor tiles and staff who called everyone by informal names. While we were eating, Tyler's phone buzzed. He looked at it, and his expression changed slightly. "Mom is getting remarried," he said, "to someone she met in Denver. 4 months in." He showed me the text. She had included a photo, both of them smiling, her hand prominently displaying a ring. "How do you feel about that?" I asked. He set the phone down and thought about it honestly. "I do not feel much about it," he said. "Is that a strange thing to say?" "No," I said. "It is an honest thing to say." He picked up his food. "You going to start dating again?" "Maybe eventually," I said. "Right now I am focused on other things." "Like what?" "Like making sure you get into the right school, like not dropping the ball on this promotion, like getting comfortable with things being quiet and uncomplicated." He smiled. "You are already the most comfortable with quiet person I know, Nate." That evening we hiked up to a lookout point above the valley. The sun was going down behind the mountain ridge, painting everything in long amber light. We stood there without saying anything for a while, just watching it happen. Nate, Tyler said eventually. Yeah. Thanks for not taking the easy road, for fighting for yourself and not just accepting things the way they were. It showed me what it looks like when someone actually keeps their word. You do not have to thank me for that, I said. Yeah, he said, I do. Most people would not have. We drove home as it got dark, the radio low, both of us easy in the silence. When we pulled into the driveway of our new house, Tyler grabbed his bag and headed inside without looking back at what we had left behind. I stood in the driveway for a moment, looking up at the first stars appearing above. Somewhere out there, Vivian was planning a wedding with someone she had known for 4 months, probably already building toward the same patterns that had dismantled us. But that was not my life anymore. I went inside where Tyler was already telling me about his weekend and debating what to cook for dinner. This was my life now, honest, uncomplicated, and genuinely mine. And for the first time in longer than I could accurately remember, that was more than enough.